morning, YouTube. How's everybody doing today? It's a lovely wet morning. It stormed all night. Well, I want to do another vlog today, and what I want to talk about is my favorite car that I've owned. And contrary to what some YouTube people think, it is not the Mustang. Although I love my Mustang, but it's not my favorite. My favorite car that I've owned by far has been my 2000 WS-6 Trans Am. That was my first real V8 sports car. My 2002 Camaro was a V6, which at the time for being 17 was okay, but after I graduated high school I wanted something different. I wanted more power and I wanted a manual transmission too. So my Trans Am had everything that I wanted. It had the leather seats, it was a manual transmission, had the 350 LS1 in it, and it was a decent color too. It was silver, which I didn't know I liked silver that much, but whenever it comes to dirt and keeping it clean, silver is very forgiving. So that was a wonderful thing. The Trans Am is my favorite just because there was a bond that I had with the car that either I haven't developed with my Mustang or it probably won't develop to that extent. I put a lot of work in, I put a lot of time, and I put a lot of money into my Trans Am, and I will own one again one day. If I would have had the option to buy back the Trans Am that I had, I'd have bought that instead of the Mustang. But that option wasn't available, so I got what I did get. When I got the car, it had 144,000 miles on it, which isn't too bad considering it was probably about 11 years old when I got it. The transmission needed to be rebuilt. It needed some work. Whoever drove it before me completely screwed up the transmission. Fourth gear would not stay in gear. You'd go to shift to fourth, go to start letting off the clutch, and it'd pop right back out. Other than that, the transmission was okay. It's just, I guess someone was either driving it way too hard or didn't know what they were doing and completely screwed up fourth gear. But we had it rebuilt, and we actually we upgraded it because I had planned on upgrading the engine, so we did a rebuild on it that would handle up to 600 horsepower, which at the time I didn't see me getting that much horsepower, so that would have been great. I did have the shifter change whenever we rebuilt the transmission. I had the Hurst short throw shifter, and I love that shifter. Oh, and the transmission that was in that car was a Tremec, so I guess that's why I like the Tremec transmissions, because that's what that had. I don't know, call me whatever you want, but that's what I like until I start having issues with it. The car also needed some body work. The previous owner had opened the door one day and someone backed into the door and jammed it forward, like towards the front of the car. So it had the whole door pushed up, it messed it up, but we had that fixed, repainted. You couldn't even tell that there was any damage to it. So that was great. That's just some of the beginning works that we had to do. We also had to have the AC redone. And that was one of the things I didn't like about that car or the fourth generation Camaros and Trans Ams, is that their AC compressors did not last that long. That was one of the big issues with those cars, is that the AC would would stop working, then you're looking at over $1,000 to have everything redone. And even then, since it had leather seats and T-tops, it was extremely hot in the summer, and it took forever to cool off. But I still love the car. Other than typical maintenance that you're gonna probably need to look for at 150-ish thousand miles, we had the slave cylinder replaced, the master cylinder replaced, and it wasn't because we chose to, it was because they went out while I was driving, and that was lovely. The water pump was about the same time as all that. I got mad because due to the master cylinder, it was either the master or the slave cylinder, I can't remember which one went out first. I went to go shift, the clutch stuck to the floor. Then I couldn't get the clutch to work and disengage. So I was in second gear, it's on the highway, and I pulled over, I got mad and I floored it. Well, apparently that wasn't a good thing to do because it blew the water pump. So, much of it wasn't too bad. It was actually fairly easy to replace. So, my dad and I replaced the water pump, then brought it to the mechanic literally the next day because it happened on a Sunday. Brought it to a mechanic. They replaced, like I said, I can't remember which one it was that went out first, whether it was master or slave cylinder. They replaced it. I pick it up, go to drive it. I get to the first stoplight, push in the clutch, and I start trying to go, or the light turns green, I start going. Clutch sticks to the floor again, literally not even a quarter of a mile down the road from the mechanics. So they had to come get it, and it ended up being whichever they didn't replace the first time. After that, it's great. Drove great. The driver's side headlight motor, I thought it went out because I was doing something and apparently messed with it. And those motors, since it has the pop-up headlights, you can go into manual mode where you actually turn the motor yourself by hand to get the lights to come up and go down. Apparently I had done something to where it was in manual mode, so when you turn on the light switch, it wouldn't come up. And then in the process of fixing it, I just thought it was funny, is I didn't have it right, so you turn on the headlights, one would pop up, the other one would go down. You turn them off, one would pop up, the other one would go down. But I eventually got that fixed. One thing I didn't like about the interior of the Trans Am is, I'm sure many people know about the plastics. They crack so easy. Both door panels were cracked right about here, and the dash had a nice, had some nice cracks going along with it. I also had to have one of the seats, the bolstering, redone because it had split. All this though is just, the car was driven just like any car should be driven. But I mean, other than the normal wear and tear on the vehicle, it wasn't a bad car. And aesthetically, since it had the Ram Air package, that car was just sick looking. I'd always been an extreme fan of the 4th generation Camaros. Always wanted a 35th anniversary Camaro, red with the checkered flag racing stripes. Not a convertible though. T-tops. My Trans Am had T-tops. I always loved T-tops. I actually wish that would have been an option on the 5th generation Camaros, and it'd be even cool if they would do them on the 6th generation Camaros. But it's something about the WS-6 Trans Ams with the Ram Air package that just they look mean. And I will have one another day. I will. It's just gonna take a little bit of time, and then I'm gonna build that car how I had originally planned for my Trans Am that I had, wanted to do a lot of work to it. Just never got around to it. Being in college, not having a lot of money, that kind of puts a damper on things. That's how it is. The one thing that was done to the car before I got it was had a Magnaflow exhaust on it. So the owner said that exhaust actually sounded pretty good. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't have any issues with drone or anything like that, so that was always good. And last thing about the car that I didn't like was, I mean, it's just because it's old, it has T-tops, so had no suspension upgrades, so it was still the frame would still, I don't want to say twist, but they were very flexible, and it was very, very rough, and had a lot of rattles. Every time you'd hit a bump, you'd get rattles and squeaks. So, but I still love the car. It was by far my favorite car I've owned, and I can't wait to have another one. So, if y'all have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. There will be more videos to come, so y'all take care, have a good day.